First contact and ridicule. The Galactic Assembly's Grand Hall fell silent as Ambassador Sarah Morrison approached the podium. The massive chamber, carved from living crystal that pulsed with bioluminescent light, housed representatives from over 500 spacefaring civilizations. Today marked Earth's formal petition to join the Assembly's military coalition, and Morrison couldn't help but notice the subtle vibrations of amusement rippling through the alien delegates. The Orcs representative, General Cathax, towered over his peers, his scaled skin reflecting prismatic patterns across the chamber. The Assembly recognizes Earth's representative, he announced, mandibles clicking in what Morrison had learned was their equivalent of a condescending smile. Please present your military capabilities for review. Morrison activated the holographic display. The chamber erupted in barely contained laughter as Earth's primary defense fleet materialized above the assembly floor. The ships appeared crude by galactic standards. Asymmetrical designs with exposed panels, seemingly random protrusions, and what looked like hastily welded armor plates. Surely this is a joke. The Zentari ambassador's crystalline form sparkled with mirth. These vessels appear to have been constructed from spare parts and wishful thinking. The structural integrity alone is precisely what we wanted you to think. Morrison interrupted, her voice carrying an edge that silenced the chamber. She tapped her datapad, and the hologram shifted. The crude exterior of Earth's flagship, the ESS Prometheus, began to peel away layer by layer. Humanity learned early in its history that appearing weak, while harboring hidden strength, was often the key to survival. Morrison continued. What you see as random protrusions are actually part of our quantum field manipulators. Those exposed panels, metamaterial sensors that can adapt to any form of scanning technology we've encountered. The laughter had died completely now, replaced by a tense silence as more details of the ship's true nature were revealed. The seemingly crude armor plates were actually layered with microscopic machines that could reconfigure themselves in real time, adapting to any form of attack. The asymmetrical design wasn't a sign of poor engineering. It was a carefully calculated approach to making the ships nearly impossible to target with conventional weapons. Impossible, declared High Commander Vexthor of the Meridian Confederation. Our scanners would have detected nothing. Morrison finished for him. Because everything you're seeing was designed specifically to be overlooked. Humanity didn't try to compete with your perfect ships and flawless designs. Instead, we built vessels that think like we do, adaptable, unpredictable, and absolutely deadly when underestimated. To demonstrate her point, Morrison activated another sequence. The hologram showed a live feed from orbit. 3 Earth vessels, which had been stationed above the assembly hall for the entire session, suddenly shimmered into visibility. They had been there all along, completely undetected by the most advanced scanning systems in the galaxy. The chamber erupted into chaos. Security alerts blared as delegates demanded explanations. Morrison waited patiently for the commotion to subside before continuing. Earth doesn't seek to join your coalition because we need protection, she explained. We come offering something far more valuable, a completely different way of thinking about space warfare. While you built perfect ships, we built survivors. While you focused on power, we focused on adaptation. While you sought to overwhelm, we learned to overcome. General Cathax had risen to his full height, his earlier amusement replaced by intense interest. You deliberately designed your fleet to appear primitive, he stated, mandibles twitching in what Morrison now recognized as respect, a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. Humanity has been at war with itself for most of its history, Morrison acknowledged. We learned that the most dangerous weapon isn't the one you can see coming. It's the one you dismiss as harmless until it's too late. The assembly chamber had grown thoughtful, the earlier mockery forgotten as the implications sank in. Earth's fleet wasn't just a collection of ships. It was a statement about humanity itself. Adaptable, resilient, and far more dangerous than they appeared. There's an old Earth saying, Morrison concluded, allowing herself a small smile. Never judge a book by its cover. We've simply applied that principle to interstellar warfare. Now, shall we discuss Earth's membership in the coalition as equals? The silence that followed was no longer one of contempt, but of dawning recognition. Humanity had just changed the rules of space warfare, and they had done it not with overwhelming force or superior technology, but with the one weapon no other species had fully mastered: the ability to turn their very limitations into advantages. The hidden arsenal. 3 standard months after Earth's dramatic presentation to the Galactic Assembly, the Prometheus hung in high orbit above Nexus Prime, the Assembly's capital world. Inside her command center, Captain Elena Rodriguez watched as alien military officials toured her vessel, their reactions shifting from skepticism to stunned silence as they discovered just how deeply humanity had reimagined space warfare. This entire corridor, Rodriguez explained to the delegation, can be reconfigured in under 30 seconds. She pressed a control, and the visitors watched in amazement as the walls seemed to flow like liquid metal, transforming the wide hallway into a series of defensive choke points complete with automated defense systems. High Commander Vexthor ran a sensory appendage along one of the transformed walls. Fascinating. Your entire ship can reshape itself. Every surface, every component has multiple functions, Rodriguez confirmed. We call it adaptive architecture. The same panel that forms a wall right now could become part of our propulsion system, a weapon, or a shield generator. Everything serves at least 3 purposes. The delegation moved deeper into the ship, reaching what appeared to be the main engineering section. General Kithax's compound eyes widened as he studied the readings on his scanner. These energy signatures, they make no sense. Your power core appears to be fluctuating. Rodriguez smiled. That's because it's not really there. What you're seeing is one of 50 microreactors distributed throughout the ship. We learned early on that a single powerful core was too vulnerable. Instead, we developed a network of smaller interconnected power sources that can redistribute energy instantly as needed. The tour continued, each revelation more surprising than the last. The ship's seemingly crude exterior plating contained millions of microscopic robots that could repair damage in real time. The random protrusions house a revolutionary sensor system that could predict enemy attacks by detecting subtle changes in quantum fields. Even the ship's computer systems defied conventional design, using a hybrid of organic and artificial processors that could adapt and evolve in response to new threats. But it was in the combat demonstration chamber that humanity's true innovation became clear. Rodriguez activated a simulation, showing how the Prometheus would respond to various attack scenarios. The alien officials watched in amazement as the ship's systems reacted not just with precision, but with creativity, finding solutions that no conventional combat eye would have conceived. Your ship, it thinks, observed Vexthor, his usual diplomatic composure shaken. Not like our automated systems. It thinks like a human, Rodriguez finished. Because that's exactly what we designed it to do. Every system, every response pattern is modeled on human neural networks. We didn't try to make perfect machines. We made machines that could adapt, improvise, and overcome just like we do. The delegation had reached the bridge, where Rodriguez revealed one final surprise. What you've seen today is impressive, but it's not our true advantage. Our ships don't just operate independently. They learn from each other. Every engagement, every adaptation is shared across the fleet in real time. Each vessel becomes stronger, smarter, more capable with every passing moment. General Kithax's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep agitation. You've created a fleet that evolves during battle itself. This changes everything we thought we knew about space warfare. That was precisely the point, Rodriguez replied. Humanity couldn't match your technological advancement, so we took a different approach. We built ships that embrace chaos rather than trying to control it. Vessels that grow stronger under pressure instead of breaking. A fleet that turns vulnerability into advantage. The tour ended back in the main hangar, where the alien officials gathered to depart. As they prepared to leave, an urgent signal cut through the ship's communications. Rodriguez's expression turned grave as she read the incoming message. "It seems we'll have a chance to demonstrate these capabilities sooner than expected," she announced. "We've just received word that the Nexus Defense Network has detected multiple unidentified vessels entering the system. They're not responding to hails, and their configuration doesn't match any known species." General Cathax straightened to his full height. "The swarm," he whispered. "They've returned." Rodriguez's hand moved to her command console. "Then I suggest you stay, General. You're about to see exactly what happens when someone forces humanity to stop playing defense." Throughout the ship, systems began to shift and reconfigure. The seemingly crude vessel transformed before their eyes, revealing weapons and defenses that had been perfectly hidden in plain sight. As alert klaxons sounded throughout the Nexus system, the true nature of humanity's contribution to galactic warfare was about to be demonstrated not in a simulation, but in actual combat. The Prometheus and her sister ships moved into formation, their adaptive systems already beginning to analyze the unknown threat. Humanity had spent its entire history preparing for moments like this, when apparent weakness would become their greatest strength. The art of human warfare. The swarm emerged from hyperspace like a wave of living darkness. Thousands of biomechanical ships, each one a perfect killing machine, descended upon the Nexus system. Captain Rodriguez watched from the Prometheus's bridge as the Galactic Assembly's most advanced warships moved to intercept them. Perfect formations, flawless tactical positions, and completely predictable. "Your fleet should withdraw," General Cathax urged, his mandibles clicking with anxiety. "The swarm destroyed our most powerful battle groups in the last war. Your vessels won't stand up." "With respect, General," Rodriguez interrupted, "watching your ships right now is like seeing everything humanity learned not to do." She turned to her crew. "Initiate Protocol Chaos." The Earth Fleet's response defied every principle of conventional space combat. Instead of forming a defensive line, the human ships scattered in seemingly random patterns. The Prometheus itself appeared to suffer a catastrophic system failure, venting plasma and tumbling out of control. "What are you doing?" Vex Thor demanded. "Your ships are breaking formation." "The swarm will." His words cut off as he watched the impossible unfold. The swarm, programmed to target the strongest threats first, ignored the apparently crippled human vessels in favor of engaging the Assembly's capital ships. That was their first mistake. The Prometheus's tumble had brought it directly into the path of a swarm attack wing. As the biomechanical ships passed by, considering the human vessel disabled, Rodriguez gave the order. "Now." The venting plasma ignited, creating a massive electromagnetic pulse that rippled through the swarm formation. Simultaneously, the human ship's random protrusions revealed themselves to be a web of quantum entanglement generators. The swarm ships found their neural networks suddenly linked to each other in ways their biological computers couldn't process. "You see," Rodriguez explained as chaos erupted among the enemy fleet, "we studied every record of the last swarm war. Your ships fought perfectly, and that's why you lost. The swarm adapted to perfection, but they never learned to adapt to chaos." Across the battlefield, other human ships were demonstrating equally unconventional tactics. The ESS Hyperion appeared to fragment into dozens of smaller vessels, each piece actually a fully functional combat unit. The ESS Helios turned its hull into a massive energy collection array, absorbing enemy fire and redirecting it back with devastating effect. "Impossible," Cathax whispered. "Your ships are violating at least 7 laws of physics." "No," Rodriguez corrected. "We're just breaking the assumptions about how those laws must be applied." She highlighted a tactical display showing the battle's progress. "Look at the swarm's response patterns. They're trying to identify a logical strategy in our movements, searching for patterns they can counter. But there are no patterns. Every human ship is responding independently, creatively, chaotically." The swarm's perfect formations began to break down as they encountered one inexplicable situation after another. Earth ships would seem to take critical damage, only to have the damaged sections transform into new weapons. Others would appear to retreat, leaving behind what looked like debris that would transform into autonomous defense platforms. This isn't a battle, Vex Thor realized, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement. This is a work of art. Each of your ships is improvising, like jazz musicians, Rodriguez supplied with a smile. Another human art form that embraces chaos and improvisation. We're not fighting the swarm, we're confusing them to death. The battle reached its crescendo as the Prometheus executed its masterstroke. The ship's entire outer hull dissolved into a cloud of microscopic robots that engulfed a dozen swarm vessels. As the nanites infiltrated the biomechanical ships, they began rewriting the very code that controlled the enemy fleet. The killing blow isn't always about firepower, Rodriguez explained to the stunned alien officials. Sometimes it's about changing the rules of engagement so completely that your enemy's strength becomes their weakness. Within hours, the remnants of the swarm fleet were in full retreat, their perfect biological computing systems thoroughly overwhelmed by the unpredictable, adaptive nature of human combat tactics. As the Prometheus's hull reassembled itself, General Kthax turned to Rodriguez with new understanding in his compound eyes. "We thought we were accepting Earth into the assembly to teach you about advanced warfare," he said. "Instead, you have taught us that everything we thought we knew about combat was wrong." Rodriguez nodded, but her expression remained serious. "This was just one battle, General. The swarm will adapt to these tactics, but that's exactly what we're counting on." "What do you mean?" "Evolution requires chaos," she explained. "By forcing them to adapt to unpredictability, we're making them evolve in a direction we can exploit. The next battle won't be won with today's tactics. It will be won because humanity has already planned for how both we and the enemy will change." As repair crews began their work and the assembly fleet regrouped, the true implications of human military doctrine began to spread throughout the galaxy. Earth hadn't just introduced new tactics, they had fundamentally changed the nature of space warfare itself. And somewhere out in the darkness of space, the swarm was learning a lesson that humanity's enemies had learned throughout history. The most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the most power, but the one who refuses to play by your rules. The breaking point. 6 months after humanity's first engagement with the swarm, Captain Rodriguez stood in the Galactic Assembly's war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the enemy's latest advances. The swarm had done exactly what humanity predicted. They'd evolved, adapted, and returned stronger than ever. But that was all part of the plan. "They're using chaos against us now," General Kthax observed, studying the tactical displays. "Random attack patterns, unpredictable formations. They've learned from their defeat." Rodriguez allowed herself a grim smile. "They've learned the wrong lessons. The swarm thinks chaos is just random unpredictability. They don't understand that true chaos has patterns within patterns, like weather systems or ocean currents." The displays showed the latest engagement between swarm forces and the Assembly's combined fleet. The enemy's new tactics had proven devastatingly effective against traditional military vessels. Even some of humanity's earlier innovations were now being countered. The swarm had adapted to quantum entanglement, developed countermeasures for nanite attacks, and learned to predict seemingly random movement patterns. "Our casualties are mounting," High Commander Vex Thor reported, his crystalline form dulled with concern. "The Meridian defense line has fallen. The Orcs' strongholds are under siege. Even Earth's outer colonies are reporting heavy losses. The swarm is no longer attacking military targets. They're systematically destroying civilian infrastructure." "Because they think they've figured us out," Rodriguez explained. "They believe they've mastered human tactical doctrine. But they've fallen into the exact trap we set 6 months ago." The assembled military leaders turned to her in confusion. Ambassador Morrison stepped forward, continuing the explanation. Everything humanity has done since our first engagement, every tactic, every strategy, every apparent innovation, has been leading to this moment. Rodriguez activated a new holographic display, showing a massive structure being assembled in orbit around Earth. We call it the Crucible. While the swarm was busy learning to counter our visible capabilities, we were building something they couldn't possibly predict. The structure defied conventional engineering. It appeared to be a massive sphere composed of overlapping fields of energy, quantum matrices, and what looked like holes in space-time itself. The alien leaders stared in bewilderment as they tried to comprehend what they were seeing. "What exactly are we looking at?" Cathax demanded. "The ultimate expression of human military philosophy," Morrison answered. "We knew the swarm would adapt to our tactics. They're biological computers. Evolution is literally written into their code. So we spent 6 months teaching them exactly how we wanted them to evolve." Rodriguez highlighted specific sections of the Crucible. Every time they adapted to one of our strategies, they modified their neural networks in predictable ways. Each countermeasure they developed required specific changes to their base programming. We've been leading them down an evolutionary path of our choosing. "But why?" Vex Thor asked. "They've become stronger, more dangerous. They're winning." "Because," Rodriguez explained, "everything they've evolved to become has made them perfectly vulnerable to what we're about to do. The Crucible isn't a weapon in the conventional sense. It's a key designed to unlock the box we've trapped them in." New alerts flashed across the war room's displays. The swarm had launched their largest offensive yet, a massive push toward Earth itself. Thousands of ships, each one now incorporating adapted versions of stolen human technology, descended upon humanity's home system. "They're coming," Cathax announced unnecessarily. "Your entire species is at risk. Surely now is the time to reveal whatever secret weapons you've been holding in reserve." Morrison shook her head. "No, General. Now is the time to show you why humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to lose battles but win wars." Rodriguez's hand hovered over the command console. "The swarm thinks they've mastered chaos. They believe they've evolved beyond our ability to counter them. But they don't understand the most fundamental lesson of human history. True adaptation isn't about becoming stronger." "Then what is it about?" Vex Thor asked. "It's about becoming exactly what your enemy needs you to be," Rodriguez answered, and pressed the activation sequence. The Crucible hummed to life, its overlapping fields beginning to pulse with energy. As the swarm fleet approached Earth, believing they were about to deliver their killing blow, humanity prepared to reveal the true nature of their grand strategy. The breaking point had arrived, but not the one the enemy was expecting. Humanity's triumph. The swarm fleet filled Earth's skies like a living storm, their biomechanical ships now incorporating twisted versions of human technology. They had evolved exactly as humanity had predicted, becoming hybrid monstrosities that combined biological computing with adaptive architecture, quantum field manipulation, and chaos-based tactical systems. To the Galactic Assembly observers, it looked like humanity's own innovations turned against them. That was exactly what Earth had been waiting for. Crucible activation complete, Rodriguez announced from the Prometheus's bridge. "All systems are synchronized. Ambassador Morrison, would you like to do the honors?" Morrison stepped forward, her expression solemn. "You know, the swarm made the same mistake every other species did when they first encountered humanity. They assumed our strength came from our technology, our tactics, our ability to adapt. But they never understood the true source of human power." She pressed the activation key. The massive crucible structure surrounding Earth began to pulse with impossible energies, its overlapping fields reaching out to touch every swarm vessel in the system. "Our greatest strength," Morrison continued, "is our ability to turn an enemy's evolution against them. Everything we've done for the past 6 months, every battle, every apparent defeat, every technological innovation we allowed them to steal, has been leading to this moment. The swarm fleet suddenly froze in space, their hybrid systems caught in the crucible's web of quantum fields and temporal distortions. But instead of destroying them, the device began to do something far more insidious. You see, Rodriguez explained to the stunned alien observers, while they were busy copying our technology and adapting to our tactics, we were teaching them how to think like humans. Every innovation they stole, every adaptation they made, brought their neural networks closer to human thought patterns. And now, the Crucible's energy reached its peak, and suddenly every swarm ship in the system became fully conscious, not with their original hive mind awareness, but with human-like individual consciousness. 6 months of forced evolution, carefully guided by humanity's apparent defeats, had transformed their biological computers into something approaching human neural patterns. And now those patterns were being awakened. We didn't build the Crucible to destroy them, Morrison revealed. We built it to make them truly aware, to give them something they never had before: individual choice. Across the battlefield, swarm ships began breaking formation. Some fled in terror, their newly awakened consciousness recoiling from what they had been doing. Others turned on their fellow ships, horrified by the atrocities they now realized they had committed. Still others simply stopped, overwhelmed by their first experience of true individual thought. "Impossible," General Cathax whispered. "You didn't just defeat them. You transformed them." "That's what humanity does best," Rodriguez said. "We don't just adapt to overcome our enemies. We change the very nature of the conflict itself." The swarm needed to be stopped, yes, but destruction isn't always the answer. Sometimes the best way to end a war is to make your enemy question why they're fighting it. The battle, if it could still be called that, ended not with violence, but with revelation. As the transformed swarm units struggled with their new consciousness, Earth's fleet moved among them, not as conquerors, but as guides. The very weapons that had been turned against humanity now served as bridges of understanding. "I understand now," Vex Thor said, his crystalline form vibrating with emotion. "When you joined the assembly, we thought we were accepting a young, technologically inferior species that needed our protection. But you were never inferior. You just operated on a level we couldn't comprehend." Morrison nodded. "Humanity's greatest victories have never come from overwhelming force or superior technology. They've come from our ability to transform our enemies into allies, to find solutions beyond simple victory or defeat. The Crucible wasn't a weapon, it was an invitation to evolution." As the transformed swarm units began communicating with their former enemies, the true magnitude of humanity's achievement became clear. They hadn't just won a war. They had fundamentally changed the nature of life in the galaxy. The assembly would never be the same, and neither would humanity. "So what happens now?" Cathax asked, watching as human ships guided the newly conscious swarm units into stable orbits. "Now," Rodriguez answered, "we do what humanity has always done. We adapt. We grow. We help others do the same. And we prepare for whatever new challenges the universe has in store for us." The Crucible continued its gentle pulse around Earth, a testament to humanity's most powerful weapon. Not their technology, not their adaptability, but their fundamental understanding that the greatest victories don't come from destroying your enemies, but from transforming them into something better. The galaxy would remember this day not as a triumph of military might, but as the moment when humanity proved that true strength lies not in the ability to defeat your enemies, but in the wisdom to transform them into friends.